Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Morrigan, and if you enjoy spine-chilling true stories about the supernatural, you've come to the right place. Today, we're going to dive deep into 5 absolutely terrifying accounts of sleep paralysis that will make you question what lurks in the shadows of your own bedroom. Have you ever woken up frozen, unable to move with a shadowy presence watching you? If so, hit like right now and subscribe if you haven't already. Joined us for new scary stories every week to keep you on the edge of your seat. Stick around until the end because these stories get more intense, and I'll share my thoughts on whether sleep paralysis is just a brain glitch or something much more sinister. Let's get straight to the point, no beating around the bush, just chills. Okay everyone, starting with this so-called sleep paralysis attack. Hi Morrigan, I hope you're doing well. My name is Alice, and you can use it. This happened to me over 10 years ago when I lived in a small town in Kansas, but I'd rather not mention it to keep things private. I grew up in Washington, D.C., but at the time, I moved there with my husband for a job opportunity. I married young, at 18, to a guy 13 years older, and let's just say the age difference and conflicting opinions quickly turned our relationship toxic. Constant fighting, emotional abuse, you name it. I was unhappy, full of regrets, but I persisted. As a Christian, I began to lean more on my faith and realized I had this sensitivity like discerning spirits, dreams, visions. We Christians can be intuitive too, right? Anyway, in that marriage, I had some supernatural experiences, both good and bad. The bad ones stayed with me. First attack. After a massive outburst of screaming and humiliation, I couldn't stand being around him anymore. We had a decent house, 3 bedrooms, a large backyard. Our bedroom was an ensuite, the other was an office, and the third was a guest room with 2 twin beds for visiting family. Hurt and exhausted, I grabbed a pillow and blanket and lay down in the guest room. My mind was racing, but eventually, I began to doze off. That's when I felt a presence slowly approaching. Hot air, a rotten smell. I was face down, which I never do anymore. When I tried to get up, he jumped on my back, hot feet on my neck, hands squeezing my throat, suffocating me. The stench worsened. I thought I was finished. I couldn't speak, but when I tried to pray, he put his hand over my mouth. In my head, I screamed the name of Jesus over and over. My lips trembled, the weight lifted, and I finally screamed out loud. I ran to our bedroom, feeling the lingering pain, knelt beside the bed, and prayed all night. I didn't sleep a wink. The next day, the room still stank. I avoided the room for a week, asking a neighbor to clean it while I prayed. She didn't notice a thing. I told my ex later. He slept uncharacteristically soundly that night and blamed me for the fight. Second attack. 2 years later, back in Washington, D.C., living with my mother in her big house. The marriage was falling apart. One day, he teased me all day, even ruining my perfume. I freaked out, telling him that marrying him was my biggest regret. That night, as I dozed, my mother prayed for the house. Suddenly, evil presences invaded. Stench, heat, 3 entities touching me, suffocating me. I struggled, fell to the floor, and crawled out, screaming for my mother. She prayed for them to go away. My ex slept through it all again. The next day, I realized the toxic marriage was poisoning me spiritually too. Soon after, we separated. I felt freedom. The joy returned, with no more attacks. Now remarried, happy, at peace. Moral of the story: cling to your spiritual side, whatever your beliefs. If I hadn't, that first one could have destroyed me. Thank you for sharing these stories. Your channel brings them to life. Wow, Alice, this is intense. Thanks for sharing and for the kind words. If you've ever been in a toxic relationship that opened doors to the supernatural like this, leave a comment below. Was it just stress manifesting or actual demonic attacks? I lean toward the latter, especially with the smells and physical sensations. What do you think? Like if this gave you chills, and subscribe for more true horror stories. Next up, my little sister's sleep paralysis. Hi Morgan, how are you? I'm Fiona. This is my story, feel free to read. I've changed the necessary details. So my 19-year-old sister, who I'll call Anna, gets sleep paralysis occasionally, but not often, so she ignores it. Until January 17th, 2025, in the morning. Dad took Mom and me to her doctor's appointment. Lana stayed home sleeping. Around 9 she woke up completely paralyzed. She tried to move, talk, scream, but to no avail. She began to feel a strong presence in the room. Somehow, she knew it was a tall man. He was enjoying her fear feeding on it. She closed her eyes and began to pray, mentally, praying hard, with effort. He got angry and disappeared. As soon as he disappeared, she managed to get up. When we got home from the clinic, around 9:30, I ran home because I needed to use the bathroom quickly. I was in such a rush that I ignored Lana's frightened expression. Mom talked to her. Then they went to Grandma's house so she could help Lana. I ended up alone in the house with whatever it was. Unaware of the situation, while I was in the bathroom, I had the feeling someone was watching me. I ignored it and went to my room to put my things away. While I was packing, the feeling returned. I saw a tall, shadowy silhouette in the doorway out of the corner of my eye. I turned and it disappeared. I'm not super sensitive, but I know what I saw. It was a very strong, high-level spirit. I grabbed my phone and ran to Grandma's house, told them everything. That's when I found out about Lana. We all went home, said a lot of prayers, and my mom and Grandma cleaned the room with coarse salt. Whatever it was, it evaporated. I have no idea what it was, but it wasn't human. I can say that much. I only know that it never appeared again after that. Thank you. Fiona, that's incredible, an entity shared between sisters. Spooky. If you've ever seen shadows while awake, please comment. That sounds like real spiritual activity to me, not just in your head. Like and subscribe if you want more family hauntings. What do you think of the tall man? Hi Morgan, how are you? I'm John, 28 years old, writing from Chicago. Use my name, no problem. This happened last July, my first, and hopefully last, bout of sleep paralysis. I used to tease my cousin about hers when we were kids. I was super skeptical until it happened. It was a warm night in late July, fresh off work. I was working from home in my bedroom, finishing at 11 p.m. The job was customer service for a large e-commerce site with luxury brands. I won't name them. I dealt with everyone, from polite gamblers to rude ones who thought money made them superior. That day destroyed me mentally. I cried after leaving. I absorbed bad energy that day. I'm sensitive to vibrations. These days I avoid certain places or even get sick. I ended up not eating due to the stress I was under. I took my medication and I ended up passing out. In this half-asleep state, my room has 2 doors, the main door and one leading to the glass-paneled balcony. One of the doors is cracked with a huge hole I've never repaired. I can see right through. I turned and saw a horrific creature through the hole. Glowing red, furry eyes, huge teeth, a macabre grin widening as it sensed my fear. I tried to move paralyzed. I realized it was sleep paralysis and thought, damn, it telepathically heard. Oh, keep cursing. I like that, and laughed maniacally. It started to open the door, entered the room, and slowly walked toward me. I was so terrified that I prayed, not religiously, but desperately. I tried to close my eyes but couldn't. He got closer and closer, and when he reached the foot of the bed, I struggled to get up, but I couldn't. I prayed again, and when I said, "Save me, Lord," I woke up gasping for air. My movements returned. I looked at the foot of the bed, and there was nothing there. I couldn't sleep after that, despite the medication. I had a terrible time that day. I hope you read it and let me know what you think. Hugs. John, thanks for the kindness. More stories are welcome. Sleep paralysis professionals. Comment below. Science or spirits? To me, this telepathy screams of an entity taking advantage of the negative vibes of a difficult day. Like if you received a visit like this and subscribe to receive daily scares. Hey Morrigan, how are you? I'm Emma. I changed my name, so don't worry. This hit me around 23 or 24. Context. I've had sleep paralysis for forever large tonsils. The doctor said they would be optionally removed. My mom postponed it. I've always had visions, voices, choking, night terrors, even an incubus once. I keep this a secret. It got much worse in my teens, early adulthood. One day, at a party with friends I no longer speak to, you'll see why. A close friend, Mia, lived nearby with her husband. I'd hang out, she'd do my hair, we'd talk. I was at the end of a 7-year relationship of betrayal that everyone knew about. At the time, I was devastated, but I moved on. That day, I had low self-esteem and drank a little to cope. I was invited to a barbecue at her house, and I arrived sober. They were already drunk. Awkward conversations with friends who knew my trauma. I let it go, had a few beers. They brought up my ex's betrayal. It was painful. More drinks, karaoke to unwind. Then Bruno, a guy, rambled on about his religion. I might be a medium, I see things. I predict deaths. After more drinks, he told me, "Go rest," he mumbled some nonsense. After that, I felt super tired and ended up going home. I showered, went to bed, my thoughts swirling. Party passed, Bruno's words. I dozed off. At 3 a.m., I woke up and saw an apparition in the room. A white nightgown, my mother's face hair, but a gray aura. I thought, had I drunk too much, or was it just the usual paralysis? I turned around. That S when something grabbed my arm tightly and whispered in my ear, "Be careful who you trust." I freaked out. It's not my mother's style. I pulled my arm away forcefully and turned on the light. There was nothing there. I prayed until I calmed down. The next day, I worked exhausted and told my mom. She took it as a warning. Years later, I cut off those friends. Mia was a hypocrite and always wanted to put people down. Now, I'm super cautious. I learned to count my true friends on one hand. That day, I was very scared, but I eventually realized it was a warning. I think it was meant to awaken me to the truth. I hope you enjoy it. What do you think? Emma, spirits as protectors? Comment if you've ever received warnings like this. For me, it wasn't paralysis. It was a warning through a shock, and it worked because you changed. Maybe a guardian ancestor. Like if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more stories about protective entities. Last but not least, sleep paralysis or attempted possession. Hi Morgan, I'm Emily. Use my name. My story took place in 2021. We were renovating our house in Texas, adding bedrooms for my sister and me. There were no curtains yet. We slept together in her larger bedroom with a queen-size bed. That night, I stayed up late watching TV in the living room. Mom came in, wide-eyed, and said, "Emily, pray before you sleep." I nodded, but passed out without praying. I'd experienced paralysis before, but nothing like this. I woke up frozen, watching a shadow move. I looked at my sister and saw a blonde woman in a blue dress, her back to me. Terrified, I looked out the window. Moonlight, voices calling, faces watching. That paralysis was so intense, it felt like a movie. I got up and went to the door. The door wouldn't open. I was pulled back into bed. The shadow laughed. "You'll never get out." I felt suffocated, like a weight on my chest. I got up again, went to the door, and managed to open it. I ran to my mother's room. The door was locked. She didn't hear my screams. The shadow whispered, "She'll never hear." Look at the kitchen table. There were dismembered bodies. I screamed as loud as I could, and she laughed again. Look at the living room table. There was a disfigured corpse sitting on the couch. I started mentally calling for help from my mother. I woke up suddenly, in a cold sweat, breathing heavily. I looked at my sister, everything normal. I looked around, but no shadows were moving. I ended up going to sleep with my mother, but I left the door open. The next day, she asked me, "Why did you sleep here?" "A nightmare, right? Remember I told you to pray? I dreamed you were possessed." I felt the biggest chills of my life. Coincidence or attempted murder? No supernatural history in the family. House built by parents on father's land. No bad vibes. What do you think? Paralysis or possession? I love your channel. Kisses to you and the fans. Emily, a big kiss back. I'll pass this question along to you. Attempted possession? Comment your theories. Mental note. If your mother tells you to pray, do yourself a favor. Pray. Could low energy from skipping prayer have been the reason? Or envy? Lost spirit? Like if you escaped a dark entity, subscribe for more near possessions. Wow, what a list of sleep paralysis nightmares, from attacks and toxic relationships to shared shadows and possession vibes. If these stories freaked you out, leave your own experiences in the comments. Let's discuss whether it's science, spirits, or both. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for supernatural news. Share this with a friend who's experienced paralysis. Tag them below. Thanks to everyone who submitted. If you have a story, email it to the link in the description. And hey, on the final screen now, I have 2 more videos queued up for you to get your chills. Check them out. Until next time, over and out.